Welcome to the Motherhood and podcast, where we talk about motherhood and everything else because we are not just mothers. My name is Sophia, and today I'm joined by my co-host Anna, as always. But she's never here. Today we're talking about cloth diapering, elimination communication, and then I'm sure we will go down a bunch of quote-unquote off-topic things about things that we use for our babies and things that we don't use for our babies, and things that we maybe thought we wouldn't use that we do use, or if we stuck firm to it, ended up not using what we didn't want to use. So, yes, how has your week been?
Long. It's been very long.
Yeah.
Mostly because we had the baby's first birthday party over the weekend, and that was super fun. It turned out awesome, but it was exhausting. I have not hosted like a serious shindig type party since he's been born. I've had like some small dinner parties, but not like a full-blown party. And I feel like it just took the life out of me. And now, like, I'm just hobbling around like an old woman. Like, my back is put out of place, and, just all the things that come with being old at 25 years old. So, but yeah, it's been a good week. There's been a lot of, well, I mean, you and I have talked about it off air. There's been a lot of like change for our family this week, particularly with my husband's job situation. He ended up losing his job on Friday, the day before the party, which was anticipated. He'd kind of seen it coming for a couple months, but then, and it wasn't even like he did anything. It was like him and 40 other people just got fired all in one fell swoop in a 4-minute meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning. But he already had a couple interviews lined up, and then from Friday to Monday, God ended up blessing him with another job with no gaps in between pay. He's ending up with a pay raise and lots of other benefits that he didn't have at his other company. So just the faithfulness of the Lord. And so we have been so thankful for that the last few days. But definitely in a time of transition, and seeing he doesn't have to actively work a job for the next 3 weeks before he starts his next one, but he's still getting paid. We are going to try and take advantage of a situation we have never had the opportunity for and just go out of town for the week. And just, it'd be like a normal week, like as if we were at home and cooking and doing things, but we're just not at home. We're somewhere else. So we're looking like in the Carolinas. We haven't decided what we're gonna do, but South Carolina isn't very far from us, so we're thinking maybe Charleston or like, what's the beach? Hilton Head Island. My family used to go there whenever I was young, but I haven't been in a really long time, and he's never been. So we're talking about maybe going there. Though we have a beach vacation lined up with family in a couple of months, so we might go to Charleston instead since we already are planning to go to the beach. But yeah, other than that, I am just trying to get my life back in order. After the party, I was behind before it started, and then I was super behind after it was done. But I've made a lot of good headway the last couple of days, so that's been good. Yeah. How are you? What's new for you?
I'm good, and I totally agree with you. Like, the week seems to just be dragging. The days seem to be dragging.
I'm tired by like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's ridiculous.
So besides that, the mosquitoes. Okay. We had a lot of rain there's been like flooding like 2 hours north of us. Our area hasn't flooded at all. Like the water's high, but um, then we got a pretty good amount of rain, um, which I'm guessing is what brought on the mosquitoes. It's also just mosquito season here, but we can't go outside. Like thousands swarm you as soon as you walk out your doorstep, and you have to run for your life to make it in the door. So, um, yeah, it is like the area that we live in because it's not as modern as the other towns that are in the area. Like there's not as much concrete. There's more woods, trees. Uh, so that's another. Like if we go over to my parents' house, it's not bad. Um,
But also, y'all aren't super far off the coast, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I would imagine because of that, y'all probably have a lot more than the average like area.
Yeah. It's terrible. But we got three new turkeys. We had one Tom turkey that we've had for a year now. Um, and we just felt so bad for him because it's mating season and he's like going over to our neighbors, tap dancing for them, trying to, impress them with his feathers. And he just needed a wife, so we took a little road trip yesterday to pick up a semi-adult female. She's 6 months. They start laying eggs around 7 to 8 months, so she should be laying pretty soon. So that is his wife. And then we got two baby turkeys who are 2 weeks old, but they're almost the same size as our 1-month-old chicks. So they grow a lot faster than baby chicks do. So yeah, hopefully we will see if they turn out to be females, because we can't really predict that this young. But yeah, so 2 babies, 1 adult-ish, and we hope they live happily ever after.
Is there going to be a wedding?
Yeah, they're in the talking stage right now. They just met and they're getting to know each other, and then I guess we'll make it a quick wedding in the next couple days.
Human officiant, of course.
Of course. But yeah. My mom came and helped me deep clean my house because I was behind like you were. So that was very nice. Now it's semi-dirty, so I need to do some tidying up, but
that's a blessing. That's awesome. That's lovely to have somebody who can offer to come and, with no judgment, every woman, every homemaker has had a dirty home at one point or another in her life. And yeah, I think that's awesome to be able to have people around you who can come into your space without judgment and say, hey, I'm just here to help you and get you back on your feet. And because I'm sure you're probably like I am. I think most people are. And it took me a really long time to realize this, that the way that my environment looks affects the way that my brain feels. And so if it's cluttered around me, my brain feels cluttered. And then because my brain feels cluttered, then it's I feel so overwhelmed, I can't tackle the mess. And then the mess gets worse, and then my brain feels worse. And then it's just this cycle until you just break down and you just do it. And it's if you don't clean it up, it's never you're not going to get to it. You just have to do it. And then once it's gone, then you look around and you're like, oh man, I feel so much better. So, yeah.
Yes. I agree. But let's dive right into the topic today. We have a topic, but this is very loose and we did not plan this.
It's a very free-flowing conversation.
Yeah. So we're going to start with cloth diapering and elimination communication. The That's probably a new term to some of the listeners because I didn't really know what it was until I had her and stuff. Um, and then we'll just see where it goes. So, cloth, cloth diapering. Um, I'll just start with my own journey first, as to not put any pressure on you. Um, okay, I'm trying to remember when I knew that I wanted to cloth diaper Hadassah and not use. I want to say it's while I was pregnant and while I was looking into because when you're pregnant, you do all the prepping and looking into all the different ways of going about things with the baby. So it was probably while I was pregnant, looking into clean diaper brands. So I was looking at the clean ones. There's Coterie, I think, is one of the brands. They're supposed to be bleach free, I think, or chlorine free. Sorry, chlorine free. And there's a bunch of other ones that are quote unquote non-toxic. And so
I have literally no idea about disposable diapers. I've seen what you're talking about, the Coterie and some of the other clean or non-toxic ones, but I don't know what they're supposed to be or not have. I don't know. I never went down that road to look into that because cloth diapers was something that I even long before pregnancy, I was I want to cloth diaper. So I never even looked at disposables. So you probably would know more about that in your research than I do.
Yeah. So I would go find a quote unquote non-toxic disposable diaper brand. I would go to their website. I would go down to the ingredients list because they would be kind of shady and not just putting it out there what was in there. So you had to go down. Some of them were more forthcoming than others, but I would go down, click the ingredients, and sometimes it would have the ingredients and then see more details for the rest of the ingredients. And it would be all the poly crap, the silica that absorbs the pee and all that stuff that I'm trying to actively avoid, these chemicals that are used to make what absorbs the wetness in the diaper, and they still had it. So they're a lot of the non-toxic brands still had a lot of the chemicals, but they just took out some of the chemicals. And then I tried to see if they had an all cotton disposable diaper, because I have not found one that's all cotton that doesn't use plastics or synthetic materials for the diaper itself. But yeah, couldn't find one. And I had heard of cloth diapering before. Growing up, I knew of moms who had cloth diapered, and I even was nannying for a baby who was cloth diapered, so I had some exposure to that. I changed her cloth diapers. And then the lady that I previously nannied for also cloth diapered her children. So it was kind of on my mind as well before getting pregnant, but then getting pregnant, deciding, well, do I want to do that or not? Came to the conclusion that yes, I'd rather use 100% cotton flats, pre-folds, inserts to diaper my child rather than chemicals from conventional diapers and then quote-unquote non-toxic diapers.
Yeah. That's the question I guess that I want to pose is let's say for the new mom, why would you even care about what is in diapers? What would make you even second guess what what is conventional and we've used for, how many of years as disposable diapers to put on your baby's skin? Why are we even questioning that and using cloth diapers in the first place?
Yeah. For me, it was knowing that I wanted my baby to be exposed to as least amount of chemicals as possible, least amount of carcinogens, least amount of toxic substances. Um, and so I didn't really do like extensive research, but I just always knew that yeah, there's chemicals in the diaper, like the stuff that fills. I don't know for people that aren't watching, but like I'm doing hand motions. The stuff that fills the diaper, um, I don't exactly know what it's called, but like the silica that expands, that absorbs pee, and all of the. There's even fragrance in diapers that I've seen. Like they will fragrance the diapers to get rid of smells. Um,
My first inclination is to be surprised, but then it took me like a split second to realize I shouldn't be because we're still putting fragrance inside of women's tampons and pads that are going inside of our bodies.
okay,
So, okay, yeah, no surprise there.
yeah. Um, so I knew that I wanted to avoid chemicals. That was my biggest thing, and especially not just I don't want my child breathing in chemicals, but putting toxic substances on their genitals, which is one of the most, I don't know if it's the most, but a very sensitive place on the body that absorbs what you put onto it. And especially for women, like my daughter has a vagina and things are going to go up there that I put in her private area. So I don't want to put unknown substances or known toxic chemicals in the sensitive areas, especially.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm sure I could, if I did research, I could give you like very like, well, this chemical is in this diapers and this affects your fertility and this is why you don't want to put it on your child's genitals. But I don't have that right now. I'm just talking with what's coming into my brain. But yeah, that was my reasoning for not using conventional diapers. And then, as I said before, it led me into researching quote unquote non toxic diapers, finding out that they still use a lot of the chemicals that aren't good for your baby's health. So then I don't want to say the next best option because I think it is like you were saying the other day, me and you were talking and you were like, well, breastfeeding isn't better than formula. It's just what should be, and formula is worse than breastfeeding. Um,
Which I know somebody's going to take offense to that. I know somebody's going to take offense to that. Okay, let me clarify.
yes,
The Yeah, because you just threw that out there, and then somebody's going to come for me and be like,
sorry.
You don't believe that fat is best? Actually, no, I don't. I do believe that breast is best. Lest we be controversial here. Earlier, I was like, we don't need to talk about anything controversial today. Well, that ship has sailed. No. The reasoning, like the line of thinking behind that, if you're looking at it from a scientific point of view, whenever you are doing like a scientific journal and you are having to weigh and balance out like benefits versus risk inside of a study or a research journal, you have to look at what is the standard. And so from a scientific perspective, based on our physiology as humans, breast milk is the standard. That is what we should be receiving. That is what our babies should be consuming. So, like, it's not that formula is the standard and then breastfeeding has benefits above that. It is that breastfeeding is the standard and formula has downsides. There are risks to formula feeding. And then similar, like to how you were relating the two, at least this is what I think you were getting at, is that like cloth diapers and or elimination communication from a like societal historical standpoint, that would be the standard. And then you have downsides to disposable diapers alongside that. So
Yes.
hopefully that, I don't know. Anyway, go on.
No, that's what I was saying. So yeah, going down the non-toxic diaper search then led me to doing what history has always done. Believe it or not, there was not silica crap in between our kids' legs holding their pee for all of history. It was either potty training, or elimination communication, potty training.
Isn't it like 60 years? We've only had disposable diapers for like 60 years.
I can Google it. Let me look.
Hold on, I'm actually looking it up now. Let's see. Disposable diapers were developed in Europe and North America between the 1930s and the 50s. So at most, 90 years. Somewhere between like 70 and 90 years is how long we've had. This says the first disposable diaper was created in 1942. Pampers launched the first disposable diaper as we know it today in 1961. So that's just over 60 years. Yeah. So compared to the whole of human history, disposable diapers are like a blip on the radar. They have not been around for very long. Yeah. So like you said, moving back to what the entirety of history has done before that.
Yes. Yes. So I know it would be a little bit of a learning curve. But also a lot simpler than I thought it was. Like, way more easy than I thought it was going to be. I was like complicating it in my head. And I do think that people who like educate on cloth diapers sometimes can complicate it. They're like, well, there's flats and there's pre-folds and there's inserts and there's diapers that come with flaps inside and there's diapers that are stuffed
on
and
ones
diapers that aren't stuffed. And so there was just a bunch of information coming at me that I didn't really know what to do with, so I kind of researched it all and then was just gave up, and I was like, you know what, when she gets here I'm just gonna figure it out. I'll just throw something on and see what works.
That's honestly probably the smartest way you could have done it.
So yeah, it really is as simple as taking a piece of cloth, shaping it into a diaper shape if you want. You don't really have to do that. Sometimes I just fold it up like a pad, throw it in the pre-made diaper and snap it on her. Other times I shape it like a diaper, like just a flat piece of cotton. Shape it like a diaper. There's these things called snappies, which are like 3 prongs that hold the diaper in place. And then you can put like a cover on top so it doesn't seep through, like a wool cover. I need to get some of those because I don't have any. Anna is the queen of wool covers. I don't know how many.
I wouldn't go so far to say. I use wool covers primarily. I do use some polyester covers, or people will call them PUL. I do use PUL covers at certain times. But whenever we're around the house, we do use wool covers. Which honestly, so I didn't even know that was an option when I started cloth diapering. Never heard of it at all. Um, and so I guess I can share a little bit about how I got into cloth diapering.
Yes,
And
please.
that,
Not you guys, a cloth diapering.
so for me, that honestly looked like more of a sustainability thing uh, from the start. So a few years ago, let's say a few, it was probably 4 or 5. Um, I started doing a deep dive into zero waste. Um, and I try to keep myself as low waste now as possible, but I am not as dogmatic about it as I used to be. Um, and I wouldn't say that I was ever like dogmatic in the sense of like I would just never use a single way, like a single use piece of plastic. That's not how I was about it. Um, but I had been doing a lot of research into that. I was not having children at the time, or not like I didn't have the intention, but like I didn't have any kids. I wasn't pregnant, wasn't trying to conceive. And I just like over the course of that determined that I really wanted to use cloth diapers whenever I did have children. Um, because one of the stats that I can think of off the top of my head is disposable diapers do not break down um, in the landfills for like 400 years or something crazy like that. And so if you think about like just one child, I know they say like on average a baby will wear a newborn specifically will use like 12 diapers a day. Um, so if you like 12 diapers a day for the first year of their life, and most babies are in diapers or pull-ups till they're like 2 or 3 years old.
Well, that's another whole
You know,
but yeah.
that is true. Yeah, we'll talk. We'll get on that one in a second. Um, and like if you think about how many disposable diapers one child produces, and then each of those diapers individually is not breaking down in the landfill for 400 years, like that's well beyond our lifetime. And so like the massive diapers that we have, from kids is crazy. And so for me, that was just like a really big shock to my system to hear that statistic and realize, like if I use disposable diapers, how much waste I was going to be contributing to the world. Um, and so that's how I initially learned about cloth diapers. And then along with that came the benefit of it being a non-toxic option. I could control what was going on my child's skin. Um, and all that you mentioned about, things being in the reproductive area and, that exposure and hormonal effects and yada yada. Um, so I really like that aspect as well. I definitely got a lot of comments um, from friends and family like, oh, cloth diapers are this archaic thing. And, like, well, I use cloth diapers with your older brother. But, like, I would never do that now that there's disposable diapers because it's so convenient. And that's the word that I would always hear is convenient. You're making it harder on yourself. That's inconvenient. Um, and there's a lot of things that I do in my life that people label as inconvenient. Um, I'll put it that way. But honestly, I have found over using cloth diapers that the level of inconvenience is so minimal to non-existent. And also, I know there are some people that they'll like use disposables for newborns, and then once they're on solids, they'll start with cloth diapers. We did cloth diaper from newborn stage.
Yeah.
So my son has never worn, he's turning a year in 2 days, and he's never worn a disposable diaper. So cloth is all that we know. Yeah. And if for me, I guess the way that I look at things in my life, if it's all that you know, then like, you don't understand if it is hard comparatively to something else. It's just what it is. Like it's all that you know. So you don't recognize comparatively if there's, if it's harder or simpler than something else. So for me, it's just like cloth is what we do. I don't find it inconvenient because that's just what I know. And I don't think that it is. It's like an extra load of laundry every 3 days in my house. And that's about it. It's as simple as that. I love cloth diapering. I have zero regrets about cloth diapering, except for the fact that I wish I would have known about all natural fibers sooner than I did.
Yeah.
Because I researched cloth diapers, and like you said, go pull up a blog post, and it'll be like, here's the different types of cloth diapers. You can get all-in-ones, you can get all-in-twos, you can get flats and covers, you can get pre-folds and covers, you can do pockets, and then it gives you all these options of what goes inside the diaper, but I never heard about the cover of the diaper and like, well, I mean, like there's different snap options and things like that, but I always just saw it as POL diapers in some form or fashion, never an alternative to that. And I took the stance in cloth diapering. I watched a lot of YouTube videos of other moms who cloth diapered, and they would be like, what's the best diaper? Like, this is what works best for us. And I came to the conclusion that flats slash pre-folds with covers was hard, and pockets was the simpler way to go and worked for most families. And so I was like, cool, I think pockets is going to work for us too. And that's the route that I went down. And then lo and behold, here we are now using flats and pre-folds with covers because I like it way better, way better. It's so much more customizable than just putting a pocket diaper on. I don't know. Well, you said that you found out what worked for y'all. And I think that honestly is the best way to do it. Just get a couple diapers of each type, figure out what works for you, because every kid is different. They're going to be shaped different. They're going to pee different. They're going to use the bathroom at different times of the day. Somebody might be a heavy wetter in the front, heavy wetter in the back. You might leak out the side leg. Although I can say, with cloth diapers, I can count on one hand, less than the amount of times that we have experienced a blowout diaper. Because cloth diapers hold that sucker in. Oh my goodness. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you're concerned about poop blowouts with your child, start cloth diapering. That's my number one tip of the day.
It's going to be our clip that goes on our Instagram that people get mad at. Like, no, it's not. You got to find a disposable one to pull the wings out. But no, yeah.
Oh, man.
We had our first blowout in the HEB parking lot when she was 4 months old, I think, was her first one. Okay, and I say blowout.
Disconnected.
It like kind of barely went on like her thighs. It was kind of coming out of the diaper. And then it was kind of coming out the back, behind her back. But it wasn't like, when I think of blowouts, like I hear parents are like, oh, she had her first blowout, or like, oh, the blowouts are terrible to deal with. Like, I imagine, or like I've even seen people post, like it's like all the way up their kid's back. It's like running down their legs. But can't relate. Sorry, can't relate.
I'm sure you've seen that Instagram trend where it's like, we're such and such. And then like you list things that are typical for that. So like, we're cloth diaper moms. We don't have blowouts.
That'd be a good one. I have not done that trend because I feel like people just come for you in the comments. So,
oh yeah. I really quickly want to mention something about the wool because you said that and then I did not address wool at all. So if you were like I was and you had never heard of using wool. I know for most people, when they think of wool, they think like itchy, scratchy sweaters. Um, but that is not the case. So the actual diaper portion of a cloth diaper is whatever type of absorbent fabric that you want to use. I think Sophia and I both use cotton flats or pre-folds, which are
Yeah.
like dense layered, like stitched together, the pre-folds. A lot of people use them as burp cloths, so most of you probably know what I'm talking about. Because I remember my mom using pre-folds as burp cloths growing up. They make great just like rags to clean up messes and stuff. They're multi-purpose. They're fantastic. So that is what I use now is cotton flats and pre-folds, and and then you have to have that's the absorbent part. Then you have to have something that is going to be water repellent or water resistant um, over that, so that you just don't like the baby doesn't pee and then pee a second time and then leak straight through because there's no more absorbency. Um, so for me, I use, or not for myself, I'm not wearing them. My baby wears
What
them.
cloth diapers do you
Like,
wear?
having some incontinence issues, okay? Oh my goodness. I'm sure later in life I will at some point, so I might have to wear cloth, cloth diapers as an old woman. Oh my goodness. Anyway, wool, is when lanolized, is naturally water resistant. And so sheep produce this special like waxy substance on the fiber of their hair called lanolin. A lot of women use it as like a nipple cream for breastfeeding, and so it like helps moisturize and keep it from getting chapped. But you can use that very same thing in that waxy substance, and you can lanolize your wool covers. And so it creates a water resistant barrier over the wool, over the fibers. It like soaks into the fibers when you wash it, and then you like add lanolin to the water, put it in there, and then it dries and it stays on the fiber. So then whenever the baby pees, then any urine that goes through the absorbent layer, so like through the cotton, if it hits the wool is resistant to the urine and it pushes it back into the cotton layer and distributes it. And so the baby stays dry externally, like their clothes stay dry. Now, because it is a natural fiber, if it gets overloaded, then yes, they can leak through it. So if you just like don't change the baby's diaper on hours and hours and hours, then they will pee straight through the wool cover. But the cool thing about wool is because it is also like the fiber itself is absorbent, it will retain like 30% of its own weight worth of liquid in it before it actually leaks out. So like your cotton will absorb and it'll push it back in there. If that gets too weighed down, the wool will absorb some as well, and then the baby would pee through. So you shouldn't ever get to that point. It can take definitely took me a hot minute to figure out the right like how much I like the covers lanolized and like the right timing and things like that. But personally, I have loved that. I have all but one gotten my wool covers um, secondhand, and so they last for a really long time. And so I've done that on like buy sell trade groups. But I've also bought some wool sweaters like from Goodwill and the thrift store, and I have repurposed them to stitch up and sew my old wool covers. And so I think that's a really cost-effective way to get the same thing if you know how to sew. And most of the patterns are super straightforward. The one, the ones that I actually like the best of his wool covers are like shorts. Like you put the diaper on with the snappy, and then you pull the cover up, and so like there's no snapping at all. You just pull it up like a pair of shorts. Um, so then you don't have to worry about like adding snaps and stuff like that. So just to preface about the wool covers, that is a fully natural fiber way to go about it. Um, and I mentioned I do use PUL covers sometimes. I do that whenever we're out of the house because it's almost like a disposable for me. Like if
Yeah.
if he poops and if poop gets on the cover, then I don't have to worry about like washing the wool off right away while I'm inside of Kroger. Like I don't want to be doing that. So I'll put him in a PUL cover if we're going out of the house. And then if he has like, if he goes poop, which we try to avoid because of elimination communication that we're getting to, but I'll just, fold the diaper up, put it in a wet bag, and then whenever I get home, then I deal with the diaper. So do you maybe want to go over your wash routine?
Sure. It's not very complicated. So when I first was gifted, like you said, our um, diaper covers, so the thing that goes on top of whatever is absorbing your wetness, um, were all gifted to me secondhand. Um, so the lady that I got them from was like kind of like worrying me. Like she kind of made it seem like it was really hard to clean cloth diapers, and like you got to be on this strict regimen. You got to strip them and you got to hang them out to dry in the sun, which is a good thing to do. Every couple months, strip them, sure. Put them in the sun, sure.
Because the
Um,
breast milk poop will stain. It will stain, and you'll have like yellow marks on your white cloth diapers.
yeah,
But if you take them straight out of the wash while they're wet and you hang them in the sun bleaches it out, no problem.
yeah,
But if the baby's gonna keep on pooping on it, then you don't need to just. I personally, I don't think I only did it, but like one time, whenever I moved from newborn to the larger size of diapers, because like if he's just gonna keep on pooping, why would I keep on bleaching it if it's just gonna keep on getting poop stains?
right,
Yeah, that was my thoughts about it.
yeah. Yeah, some of my diapers have like yellow marks on them, and it's fine. They're clean, it's fine. Um, so yeah, I was a little intimidated at first with the washing, and then like once you do it, it's like, oh, okay, this is whatever. Um, so a wet bag is literally just a bag with a zipper on it that has like a waterproof liner inside of it. Um, so your bag doesn't
Isn't
get
it
wet, so
usually
your bag
made
doesn't
out of
leak.
Isn't it usually made out of like the same material as UL covers?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. Um, so, like, if you're worried about, like, well, what do you do when you're out of the house and you're cloth diapering? Like, where do you put the cloth diapers? Just use a wet bag. I have a small, it's probably like, I don't know, I'm really bad at measuring. 12 by 6, we'll say. Bag with a zipper on it, and I just ordered them off Amazon, like a pack of 4. They're super cute. Um, so you
Amazon
just,
has some really cute prints for the wet bags. I'll just throw that out there.
yeah. Um, but yeah, it's just like if you are out with a disposable diaper and you don't have a trash can, you just stick it in a plastic bag and tie it up. Same thing except cloth. Um, so that's what a wet bag is. I know you said wet bag, and I didn't know if it was like common sense or not. So I just figured I would explain what a wet bag is. Um, so that
And
is,
I've
yeah.
even some moms like later on in life, like when kids are older, when they're going swimming, like at the pool and stuff, they'll
Mhm.
take a wet bag and then put the wet clothes in there, and it works perfect to like tote other wet items around until you get home. So then you don't
Yeah.
have just like a dripping bag, or you're carrying like a trash bag around to keep it from getting wet. It looks a little nicer and serves the same purpose. So you can always repurpose it for things later on.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. It could be for anything. Anything wet. It's a wet bag. So, um, but Anna said she does every 3 days. I do probably about the same. Sometimes I push it 4 or 5 because I have I don't even want to say how many I have because I don't know, but I have quite a bit of like inserts. And the cover doesn't always get dirty, so you can totally reuse the covers over and over again, especially with wool. I know. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
you don't
I
have
just
to wash the wool, but like, oh, I honestly I don't wash mine unless it gets poop on it. So if we're doing really like I think I just washed one yesterday,
yeah.
um, and that was the first time it had been washed in probably 2 months. So they can go really long stretches. And what I love about the wool is like I know with a PUL cover, you can just wipe it off. If there's like if it's wet, you can just, dry it and reuse it. But with the wool, um I will like interchange in between. Like I'll have one that's dry, and then I'll take one. I'll put that one on, and then take the wet one off, and like let it dry. Because it will get a little bit damp if there is pee on it, but the lanolin actually neutralizes the pH of the urine, and so whenever it dries, it doesn't smell like pee or anything like that. So I don't wash it unless it gets poop on it, or unless it's like dry and starting to smell like pee, which it's overloaded at that point. But for me, that's like every couple months.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, basically what I just wash is like a cover. If it's dirty, I will throw it in. But I'm just washing all my inserts, so the cotton flats that I use or the pre-folds. Um, and I make my own laundry detergent. So I take like a bar of Castile soap, grate it up, melt it down, add vinegar, baking soda, and um, borax occasionally. Um, so I just use like a cup in there. Sometimes I'll add like extra vinegar, extra baking soda. I feel like you're judging me. Is that wrong?
No, I'm really looking intently because I didn't know that you made your own laundry detergent.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm like very interested to hear what you use for that.
I just
I
imagine you
went
were
through
like,
that.
wow, that's so wrong.
No, 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 no. I agree with you wholeheartedly on like keeping it simple with wash routines because I'm in a couple cloth diaper Facebook groups and people will get so in the weeds about like I have hard water, I have soft water, I've tested it, and it has this many parts per million, and there's like
Gosh.
this special work. Yeah, so there's like this special worksheet that and I can't remember Fluff Love University, I think is what it's called. You may have heard of that. Um, it's a website that has tons of information about cloth diapering, so that's a great resource if you're listening to this and you're considering cloth diapering. Fluff Love University. Um, but they have info that'll tell you all about the types and things like that. But they have this worksheet that you can fill out that is like, how much does your average load of cloth diapers weigh whenever you're washing it? Like, how much is it going to weigh? What type of water do you have? What type of detergent are you using? Blah, 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 blah. And you fill out, like, what type of washer is it? You fill like this whole thing, and it is like a formula that tells you what you need to be like how much of the detergent that you're using specifically for that washer do you need to be using, do you need to add anything to it for water hardness or softness, and like yada yada yada. And it seems so complicated, and I know there are people who have struggled with, like you said, like they have to strip their diapers because there's like detergent buildup and things like that, but I have never put that much thought into it. Never. I use the same stuff that I use on our regular clothes. I add a couple things in, and I haven't had any issues. So
Yeah, me either.
you don't have.
I
I don't think you have to overthink it.
yeah, no, you don't. I'm sure you can. There's people that overthink everything, and it's not necessary. So yeah, I just throw. Okay, I'll be honest here. Sometimes I have cloth diapers, on my floor of my bedroom. I didn't put them in the wet bag. They're just on the floor, like the cover's covering it, so it's not like seeping onto the floor. Okay, not gross. But they're on the floor. Okay, I pick them up. I just throw them in the wash. The detergent, I don't even measure it sometimes. Most of the time, I don't measure it. And then I turn it on with hot, hot, hot water. And then, okay, here's what I will do. So my washing machine is like older, so you can lift the lid and it will stop the agitator from going. I know the newer ones you have to like hit the stop button and the unlock button and stuff, but mine you can just lift up. So if there's like dirty diaper, like poopy diapers in there that are gonna be like harder to wash or harder to get off, I will lift the lid and like let them soak for a little bit, and then I'll close the lid and then let it continue the cycle. So I like to do that. And then if it's like, because my daughter's exclusively breastfed, so her poop is like, it's not sticky, but it's like, if this is your flat and you're like trying to peel apart your flat, it's gonna go like.
Don't lie. It's sticky. Breastfed poop is sticky.
Yeah. We can say it's sticky. It's sticky.
Yeah.
But
it's soluble though. And I know we talked about this a while back, and you've been spraying your diapers this whole time.
Yeah.
I can't believe you. Okay. Breastfed poop. And I have also been told that formula-fed poop is as well. But I don't know exactly if that's true. I can only confirm that exclusively breastfed poops, no solids in the diet yet, are totally water soluble. It doesn't matter how nasty that diaper looks. You can just throw it into the washer. You don't have to spray anything off. And it will completely dissolve in the water and it will get washed away. If there are any solids in the diet, that is no longer water soluble and does need to be swished out in the toilet, or like there's little sprayers that you can attach. I know that's what you've got. But yeah, you told me that the other day and I was like, I cannot believe that you have been spraying off all these diapers this whole time.
Yeah, so now I don't. Now I just start. What'd you say?
So you have you been still spraying them off since I told you that, or what have you been doing?
No. So you told me that, and I was like, oh, well, that sounds kind of gross. But then I tried it, and they came out just the same as if I washed it off with like our shower head. So yeah, but I do like keeping the poopy diapers in one wash and then the pee diapers in the others. That's just like in my brain. I don't know if it changes anything, but that's what I do. So, yeah. I do no longer take the hose to the diaper. I don't have those, because you can buy attachments for your toilet with like a bidet like sprayer thing. But the lady that I nannied for gave me one, tried it. It is not strong enough to get anything off of the diaper, so I don't recommend buying one of those. We used our shower head, like just turned it to like the really hard setting. And then sometimes I would just take it outside and use our hose, just hose it out, because the poop's good for the garden. But now I don't spray anything. So. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't have. I'm so glad that I could help you out with that, because you told me and I was like, there's no way she's been spraying off these breast milk poops. Yeah, that was honestly postpartum one of the areas that my husband immediately like jumped in and was like, hey, I've got this. And he was totally on top of the cloth diaper laundry. And it was easy for him because he could just throw the entire wet bag full of stuff into, because we have like a hanging one in the bedroom. we have like travel wet bags, and we have like a big one, like a diaper pail type thing. And so he just unzip it and throw everything in the washer all at one time. And I know some people will say like, oh, you're supposed to do the inserts and the covers separately, because at the time we were only doing PUL covers. I've always thrown them there, and
Yeah.
never. But yeah, he took over that laundry, and I I love that you mentioned that about opening up your washer, because mine actually has a soak setting on it. But for somebody that doesn't have that, then that makes a ton of sense just to open the lid and let it like pause.
Yep.
So yeah, I do. I will put mine on the on hot water, on a heavy duty cycle, um, with a pre soak and an extra rinse. Um, and then I use Truly Free detergent, and I also use their Oxy Boost as well. It's like a chlorine free alternative, and I love that stuff. It's amazing. I just used it on the white carpet earlier when we had a potty accident. After he went on the potty and pooped, and then he apparently didn't finish, and then pooped some more on the white carpet and cleaned it right up with some Oxy Boost. You would have never known. Um, yeah, it's magic. But I use 1 ounce of the laundry wash from Truly Free, and then I do a scoop of the Oxy Boost in the pre-wash, and then I add white vinegar for the rinse. Um, yeah, that's what I do, and I don't know if there's anybody that you like. Do you follow anybody specifically, or like are there certain sources where you get cloth diaper information? Because I mentioned Fluff Love University. That was one of the probably first places that I had looked at, like got a lot of info from whenever I was first looking into cloth diapering. But now, who I would say is the biggest resource for myself and would I would recommend is Green Mountain Diapers. And the lady who runs that, her name is Karen. She is amazing. And she has blog posts. She's not the kind of, and she has even in like in some of her blog posts in her email, she's like, "Yes, I know my name is Karen. I'm not the kind
I
of
was
Karen
about to
that you
say
guys are
something.
talking about." Yeah, she's like everybody like gets at me because my name is Karen, but I'm not that kind of Karen. And she's amazing. I love her. Um, she sells her own like pre-folds and things like that. She's the one who created um the workhorse diapers, and those are amazing. We use those at nighttime.
I haven't
Do you know
heard
what
of
I'm
those.
talking about?
Mm-mm.
Hold on, I'll show you. I have one right here. Okay, so this is made from um pre-folds, and it's kind of like an all-in-two, like where you'd have a cover and then this. And so it's the diaper. It has elastic through the legs, and then there's an additional flap here, and then you can either get ones that have snaps. I use snappies with mine on the front, so you can get them without snaps. Um, and then some people will like tuck the side elastic in right there. But it's like having multiple pre-folds in like worth of absorbency at the same time, and these are awesome. I use these at nighttime, and then I put a hemp and wool, no, not hemp and wool, a hemp and cotton booster in there, and then his wool cover over it. Um, so I'm getting a phone call. Oh, yeah, these are called the workhorse diapers. I love these. She is the creator of these, and you can find them on Green Mountain Diapers. She has cloth diapered for like 25 years or something like that. And so this is now like the business that she's created. She has a ton of info on natural fiber diapering. She sells wool covers from the Sauna and Baby Greens and all these different companies on there. And you can go read through her blog posts, and she has so much information. She has tons of information in the listings for, like, if you were to go look at the listing for the workhorse diaper, she has like pages on pages of information on like how to gauge what size you think that your baby should be wearing for this, because it's like, variable on size, and because this is a large size. But if you email her, even if you haven't purchased anything, if you email her, she will like send you resources upon resources and just like talk with you and chat with you, because like she wants to make sure that you have the best experience that you can with cloth diapering, and she's just fantastic. Karen at Green Mountain Diapers is your friend. Highly recommend. That was my point. I am done.
Yeah, that's cool about the workhorse. It just sounds similar. It sounds like what I do, but like sewn all together. Because what I do at night is I take a flat and a pre-fold, and I fold the flat like in a pad, and then stick the pre-fold folded up inside of the flat, so it's like a thick pad.
Yeah.
And then I just lay it down in the diaper cover, and then just put it on. And I don't change diapers in the middle of the night. No, I don't. I used to, like, just a little bit when she was a newborn, because like she would poop and then she would scream because she wanted to be changed. But that is no longer the case, and I don't change diapers at night. I just lay there getting my glorious sleep while she's breastfeeding, and then I go back to sleep, and I don't change diapers. So I kind of felt bad about that. Like I was changing her diapers when she was a newborn because like she needed it done because she was crying about it. But as she got a little bit older, I started feeling bad because I would like stop changing her diaper. It was fine, like there was nothing wrong. She wasn't getting a rash. It was enough absorbency to last her throughout the night. But I just felt bad. I was like, I'm a bad mom. If I don't change her diaper overnight, I'm a bad mom. And then I saw Natural Lau, I think is her Instagram. I've done a live with her sharing my birth story. She posted that she doesn't change her daughter's diaper at night. She just puts enough cloth diaper absorbency to last the night, and they have a great sleep. And I was like, oh, so it's okay that I do that. I just needed like another mom to validate me. So if you're a mom listening and you're like scared, like, I don't want to change my baby's diaper, but I feel like I'm a bad mom. You're not a bad mom. It's okay if you don't change your baby's diaper if they don't need it. Like if they're screaming, obviously, you're the mom, if they need it, do it. But if you're like thinking you're a bad mom because you're not doing what society normally does, like getting up and like feeding your baby and like waking up and then changing the diaper and having this whole like night routine, that's another thing. I see all these Instagrams.
The ones where they're like, here's their night routine, and then it's 2:00 in the morning and they have all the lights on. I'm like, no wonder y'all are wide awake. And like, turn the lights off, man.
Oh my gosh. And they're filming themselves. I'm like, why do you look put together with the lights on? Filming yourself when you're supposed to be sleeping.
You know she had to get up out of the bed to go prop her phone up to take the video, to get back in bed, to then, like... I mean, I know there are some people that, like, have they have like other video cameras and they're already pre-set up, and then you can just press a remote and do that. I don't have that. So if I was to have to, I'm just thinking of what I would have to do, which would be get out of the bed, pop up my phone, turn the video on, go get back in bed so you could see me waking up to take care of the baby. No, absolutely not.
And
nighttime look. rolling over with a boob back and forth, and that's it. That's all.
They will like, and I'm not trying to mom shame, okay? It's just like ridiculous. Like they will get up out of bed. They will go to the living room to do their nighttime routine. And like they'll turn the TV on and they'll have the lights going and the baby's screaming and they're like, why is my baby awake? I don't know why your baby's awake. I have no idea. It just irks me.
No, I think it's just that like it's the societal expectation that like, you know, your baby can't sleep with you. That's dangerous. It's like the same thing. And so then, you know, you have the moms who are like, we're getting terrible sleep. I don't know why my baby doesn't like cries every time I lay them down. And it's not shaming the mom because she isn't, you know, it's like it's because she just genuinely doesn't know that like it's okay for you to do that. Yeah. And I think we need to be having more conversation around like it's okay for you to meet the needs of your child in whatever is the simplest way that works for you, and that like that's enough. You know, it doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be like whatever is deemed approved by your pediatrician. Like, you know,
I think it's
obvious.
You know
what I'm saying.
Our episodes that we don't have pediatricians.
I recently talked to a mom who asked me. She was like, "Do you have any pediatrician recommendations in the area?" And I was like, "Well, we've never been, so I couldn't really help you out because I don't know anybody in the area because we don't go." And she's like, oh, "I didn't even know that was an option." And that's it's like there are moms out here who are so dependent on the system, whatever it is that you want to call it, that they don't even realize that their innate ability to mother their own children and make their own decisions is an option.
Yeah.
How sad is that? To think that like just being able to make decisions for your child is an option. Instead of having to run it by a pediatrician, to run it by the doctor, or whoever else that we're outsourcing our authority to. No.
On our road trip yesterday, we stopped. I don't know if you have Natural Grocers, the grocery store.
Like that's the name of it?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I think it's like a Pacific Northwest thing. We have some here, but only in Austin, because Austin is like Portland, like keep Austin weird, just like their thing. So even though it's in Texas, they're like, we go into this Natural Grocers and like the whole staff is like gay. Like the guys are like, how's it going? And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're in Portland. Anyways, so we go in and we're on the phone with Christian's mom. And if she's watching this, like, no hate, hi, love you. But she asked, like, if Hadassah had been to the doctor. And we're like, no, we took her to a naturopath to get a chiropractic adjustment. But she's never been to the doctor to, like, have x-rays to make sure her organs are okay, or have ultrasounds, or like whatever they do at a pediatrician appointment. So yeah, we were like, no, she's never been. She didn't push the issue. It was just like, I don't know. She was just wondering. But yeah, we don't have pediatricians. If something is wrong and I'm concerned, sure, I will seek out help. I'm not like, I will never seek out help for my child ever. She will die before I go to the doctor. Like, no. So, But yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what people hear whenever you say, like, oh, we don't go to the doctor.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that we won't if we need it. That just means that, like, we holistically take care of things at home. And who better to know if something is wrong with my child than the person who grew said child and spends 24 hours a day with said child?
Yeah.
Not the pediatrician that sees them every 3 months for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You cannot convince me. Yeah. And I have had a family member who is in the health field um, ask me, well, it was passive aggressively because it was like she was asking my infant child who can't talk
Oh.
by app. She was asking me through asking them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like, so who's your pediatrician? And I said, you're looking at her. And she was like, "Oh, it's okay. I'll be your pediatrician." And I was like, "Actually no, but thank you for the offer." You won't, but yeah. People
Are
have a
they
lot
like
of opinions about that.
a nurse or are they actually a pediatrician?
No, not a pediatrician. She is a nurse practitioner.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
love
she
and it,
she does work in like primary care, in like a clinic for primary care.
I love when people and I say I love. I don't. Let me say what I actually mean. I'm not going to use sarcasm. I don't like it when people talk to your child to talk to you in a passive aggressive way or just to like they can't ask you the straight up question. They're like, is mommy not feeding you enough? Does mommy need to do whatever? Or like they'll like just talk to your kid to like talk through you so it's not like confrontational or I don't know.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. One of the ones that I heard the most whenever he was younger than he is now. I mean, he's only one, but when he was smaller, was like, "Where are your socks at?
Oh,
Your toes are gonna freeze off."
yeah.
Okay, I promise.
Common one.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like every mom who doesn't put a pair of socks on her baby has heard that, and not even from like family. It's just like random people in the store
Yeah.
will comment on babies not having socks, and it cracks me up, honestly. The concern level is hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. We were
Okay.
going on a sorry. Last thing.
No,
I'm
go ahead.
just down. We were going on a walk down the road and our neighbor I've told you about this neighbor. He has no social awareness. He bangs on our door instead of just knocking like a normal human being. Um, anyway, I was walking down. I had Hadassah in the carrier. It was cold outside for Texas, so I had her bundled up. I had like socks, well, whatever, bundled up for the cold, and then I had her in my coat. I zipped up my coat on top of her, and then had like a blanket covering her from the wind and stuff. Um, but I didn't put a hat on her because I felt that she was fine, all bundled up how she was. And the neighbor sitting on his porch yells to me as I'm, this new mother going on a walk, um, yells at me, "You need to put a hat on that baby. She's gonna freeze." I don't take it personally. Like, I know he's like dumb or whatever. But it was just, yes, I can relate to and it's usually like older humans.
Which I appreciate that they have concern. I do, genuinely. I think there's just a lot of presumption that particularly first-time moms just seemingly can't know what they're talking about. Surely not. You've never had a baby before, so how would you know? It's not like we don't have God-given instincts and Google if we need it. You know? If we really have a question, Dr. Google is there. So, you know. And the thing is, you really don't have to turn to Dr. Google very frequently at all because like I come from the side of things that I believe that the Holy Spirit will lead you to all understanding, and God has given you the ability to create this child, to bring this child into the world. He will equip you with the ability to sustain that child and take life. So, am I getting a visitor?
Mm-hmm.
We just learned this morning how to open up the door handles. So, the door was closed. It is no longer. So I just got a baby delivery. We can veer back to elimination communication and close out, I suppose.
Yeah. I guess I will just explain what it is and then let you kind of answer my questions because my baby's 6 months. I know you can totally start from birth, and people do. Um, but we've only done it a few times. And it's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like pressured to do it because Christian was talking to me about this the other day about like the stats, but currently the average age of people or of children being potty trained, like fully able to go to the bathroom like an adult, is 3 years old now, I think.
Sounds about right.
2, 3. And it used to be around the age of 1 that children were getting the hang of it and getting out of diapers. Um,
Yeah, I think walking age used to be the standard. So
yeah,
around 1.
yeah. So I feel like I've got 6 months left until she's 1. I feel like I should start now. Um, so I might have some questions for you. But yeah, elimination communication is learning your baby's natural cues, and some people I've seen have like a little potty, like a top hat potty. Um, we have used a bowl, just a little bowl, because we don't have a potty yet. I do want to get one because I feel like it would be easier than like sitting her in a bowl. Um, some people put them over the regular toilet, like while themselves are sitting. Um, you could probably have a better definition. You're more in this than I am, but yeah. Please define for us what elimination communication is.
Oh dear. No, I mean, I think that, like you said, it's the paying attention to determining and utilizing the cues that your baby gives to, they're communicating those cues to you about their elimination.
Yeah.
And so that's called elimination communication. So they're communicating to you about eliminating waste. Um, and that can look different for each baby, but one of, I say one of, some of the most standard times that a baby uses the restroom, just like humans, all adult humans do, is upon waking, when they first wake up. That's a very typical time. During transitions, like whenever you are getting in or out of the car, things like that. After eating a meal, usually within 30 minutes after, eating, you tend to have the urge to use the restroom. So some of those like typical times that that we as adults, recognize, babies are the same. It's no different. And contrary to what I'm going to use a term here, big diaper. You got big pharma and you got big diaper.
Is that a thing, or did
Contrary to what they want you to believe, babies do not want to use the bathroom on themselves. And also contrary to what has been taught in the medical field for quite some time, we have the research to show that babies as young as a day old have the capacity to hold their urine or to hold their poop. And there's an actual term for that. Sphincter control. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So babies have sphincter control. There are pediatricians who will still tell you that is not the case, but that is not true. Babies possess sphincter control. Not to the extent that we do. They cannot hold it for as extended a period of time, but they do possess that. And so paying attention to your baby's cues, and allowing them to, tell you whenever they typically use the restroom, or, kind of like looking to see what their schedule is a big part of elimination communication. And I had heard of EC for short while I was pregnant, and I had thought to myself, I already intend to do cloth diapers, which is going to be terribly hard. I don't want to add elimination communication on top of that right away, because that just seems like I'm really asking for it. Turns out, cloth diapering is not hard. Newsflash. Secondarily, turns out, EC is also not hard. At 2 weeks old, I one day got curious, and I took him to the potty, and I held him over the potty, and made the little psst noise for sound association, which is another big aspect of EC. And the kid went pee in the toilet, and I, from thereon, was hooked, because it was kind of an addicting feeling to be able to recognize that my kid had to use the bathroom, my 2-week-old baby, and then be able to make that happen for him, so that he did not have to soil a diaper, soil himself. And yeah, so that was a pretty cool experience. We have done it from 2 weeks on. With any future babies, I will absolutely be starting it on day 1. And I am super excited about that. One of the books that I have on this, actually, I have it sitting right here. I'm sitting next to my stack of books. Is The Diaper Free Baby. I know one of the big accounts on social media that talks about EC is Go Diaper Free. Andrea Haskins, she's a really great resource. She's who I originally learned about EC from. But the Diaper Free Baby, it's the natural toilet training alternative. And she talks a lot about the history of it and the fact that we have been doing this as... What is in your mouth? Thank you. No, sir. We've been doing this as humans for as long as we've been around. We have been, pottying our babies. And so once a baby becomes mobile, once they are walking, is traditionally whenever babies would be toilet trained. And so I think even if your child, if you do it extremely part-time, and it's not like, oh, well, we wear no diapers at all, and this baby doesn't ever pee, but in the toilet, or poop in the toilet. There are some people who are super hardcore about it, I am not. We're very relaxed about it. At the very least, any progress is progress. And I have seen a lot of kids struggle at 2 or 3 years old when they are getting potty trained. At now the appropriate time, quote unquote, um, them be adverse to the toilet and they're scared of the toilet and they don't want to get on the potty and they're kicking and screaming and crying because they are scared of it ultimately. And I think that's something that elimination communication has to offer, even if you do end up toilet training at the now normal time or the normal age, is taking away the fear from the potty for your child. Um, and I've seen a lot of people have noted that like they started really late to do EC, but now like their kid does not have the fear around the toilet that they did before. And so I think that's a really big advantage, but also just being able to, be in tune with your kid. That's another way that you can develop a bond and a relationship with your child ultimately in a very intimate kind of way, because they are reliant upon you to be able to take them to the restroom. And whenever you can offer that to them, that is a benefit to you and to them, establishing that bond of communication between each other. So he has a top hat potty, like you mentioned, which is like a little plastic potty. If you turn it upside down, it looks like a top hat, but you use it the opposite way. It goes in between your legs, and then they can just sit on top. Honestly, that one was really great until he was probably about 8 months old. And then now he's too big for it. So I use it as a travel potty. Like I'll keep it in the car or in the diaper bag. If we're out of the house and I just need a potty, but just around the house every day, it's too small for him. So I got the Frida, I don't know if it's Frida Baby or Frida Mom, something like this. It's the Frida toilet. And I actually really love that toilet. Like you can set it on the floor. And I've shared some of this on my Instagram as well. So if you're listening to this, you can find my Instagram in the show notes at Whitley Birth. And I have a highlight called Potty. And I did a day of elimination communication in my stories and then shared that on a highlight of respectful pottying, of course, because it is inappropriate for you to just air your child's business on social media, particularly in the intimacy of being in the bathroom. Thank you. May I have that, please?
Yeah, it's called Frida Baby All-in-One Potty Kit, or they have 3-in-1 Grow With Me Potty, is what I'm saying.
Yes, it's the Grow With Me. And I love that because you can do it as a floor potty, which he uses a lot, especially now that he's walking and he can come and sit on the potty himself. But also the top of it, you can take it off and you can set it onto the actual toilet, and then he can sit on the toilet there as well. And then like the base of it flips over to become a step stool to get onto the toilet. So I really love the Grow With Me potty. We've used that a ton since we've gotten it. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's what EC is listening to your baby, then communicating to you about needing to go to the bathroom, and then you making it happen. And it can be part-time, it can be full-time. You can do diaper-free days where you're just committed to cleaning up some messes, and in the meantime, taking a list, or writing down a list, making some notes on what their cues are, so you're noticing what they do immediately before they end up using the bathroom, and then looking for that in the future moving forward. So there's lots of great resources out there. The couple that I mentioned, Go Diaper Free and the Diaper Free Baby. So, I guess that's what I would have to say on EC.
I was just thinking, like, 'cause there's a whole topic surrounding, like, the American version of the toilet and how the rest of the world squats to use the restroom. Um, which we don't need to get into my business, but that is what I do. I know they have like, I think it's called like the squatty potty. They have like um, a step that goes onto the toilet that puts your feet up, so it's more like knees up, higher than your belly button, I believe it is. Um, and the reason for that is I don't know the name for it, but there is part of your colon that will get pinched if you're sitting, how the American toilet has you sit when you're using the restroom. So if you bring your knees up, it releases the pressure off of that, thus making it easier for you to go to the bathroom. Um, I was a teacher in India for 4 months, and all the potties are in the ground. So you squat like everywhere you go. That's all they have. Um, and of course, like in the more modern cities, they have like American toilets. But they always have both options available. Um, so that could be a whole other topic. But have have you done that with Rowan? Because I know some people will squat while being on the American toilet, like they will stand on it and squat down. Um, but have you thought about that with Rowan? I'm just now thinking like about that, like with Hadassah, like moving forward. But have you thought about that? Have you done anything differently regarding that?
I'm being delivered cloth diaper inserts by the baby right now. Um,
Oh, they're black.
yeah, so these are ones. These are charcoal
Yeah,
bamboo,
that's cool.
like yeah, bamboo microfiber ones that I used with him previously. And so he's like raiding the diaper changing table right now and handing them to me. I just thought it was appropriate for the topic. Um, just over there playing in his diapers. Yeah, so I totally agree with you. I didn't know that you went to India. I spent 10 days in Thailand and also experienced the same thing with these squatty toilets on the floor,
Yeah,
which is totally new experience. But yes, totally agree with you as far as like anatomically that being better for your body. Um, as he's been older, I haven't had him squat, I would say, but I do notice that if I think that's just like the natural inclination.
right.
And whenever he is, we'll do a lot of diaper free time outside. So, like, you can pee wherever. If you need to poop, go for it. It's totally fine. And regardless of what number he is doing, he will almost always squat down onto the ground to do his business. And so that's just like the natural way that your body wants to get in.
Yeah,
But whenever he was 2 weeks old, so he was newborn, and then up until him being able to sit upright on the potty himself, I had to hold him, obviously,
yeah,
and that newborn position is a squat, basically.
yeah.
And so here's meet George. This is George the giraffe. Um, so I would hold him on my chest, or kind of like down here, and then reach underneath his butt and hold his legs up like this. And so he would be in like a little squat like that. And so then I'd just like hold him over the toilet and he would go to the bathroom. And so that I would consider him squatting, from the
Right.
very first times that he went to the potty. And then now he just does that naturally if he's outside using the bathroom on his own. So I don't know, are you like trying to consider something specifically for her once she's using the potty herself? Like, is there a baby version of the squatty potty, or?
Right. That's what I was trying to think. because I know like once they get old enough, like you like where they understand what you're saying, you can be like explain to them if you squat, it's better for you. So like educating them on that, and they will do it. But like in that like in between age, I guess how Rowan is now, where you're not having to hold them for them to go to the bathroom, but also like you can't tell them, "Hey, squat, it's better for you." Um, I was just trying to think of like ideas, but I guess there's not really like a potty that would facilitate that unless you just stood them up on the potty and had them squat. I don't know. I'm just talking.
Yeah, I don't really know a great answer to that question.
Yeah. But I mean, what you're doing with like the outside, that works great. I mean, you said he just squats down and goes to the bathroom, so you could always dig a hole outside. I don't know. Camping style. But is there any other like aspect of EC that you wanted to mention before we wrap up?
Not really. I mean, maybe other than like just emphasizing that it doesn't have to be an all or nothing kind of thing. That, you know, any any part of it that you do is going to make an impact. So like even if you're riding down the road and you see the, notorious poop face and you can't get to the diaper change, while you're driving down the road, like still doing the sound association and making a grunting noise so that they associate that, okay, that when I'm pooping, that's that noise, and like this is what my body is doing, and creating that body awareness, that still makes an impact and is still beneficial. And so like, if your child is in daycare through the majority of the day and you're only able to do EC in the evening time whenever you're there with them, like that's still going to be beneficial to them. Um, if you don't do it at all, like if you stay at home and you don't bother doing EC any time that you go out of the house, that's okay. That if that's too much of a stressor on you, then okay. I will every once in a while, like if I'm using the restroom at the grocery store or something, I'll offer the potty to him too if I'm changing his diaper. But beyond that, I don't stress about it. I don't try to make a big deal about it. Um, and if you have misses, if you go a few days and you have zero misses, and then all of a sudden like you have what they call a potty pause and things are not going right, that's okay too. Usually that's indicative of like a developmental leap or cutting teeth or some like or just life changes, things that are happening. So babies are not immune to the changes in their environment, so they're going to pick up on that and their body is going to respond accordingly. So I think it's that being mentioned, it's a really great way to um, be in tune with the health of your baby even that much more. Because if you're noticing digestive changes for your child, that is, a big factor in your health. So I think EC definitely gives you a leg up in that area. Um, but yeah, just not feeling pressured to like go overboard with it or do all or nothing. It can be like any little thing that you do with EC is going to be impactful.
I like that. Yeah. Um, yeah, you are much more further along than I am. Obviously, he's older. Um, I'm just now starting to do it with Hadassah. Um, so, yeah, I don't have much education to share. Um, but I really liked everything that you said. And I have a question for you after this is over. That's a little too personal. I don't want to air my daughter's business. Um, so, yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up. I think it went well today for not having like a plan. Really, most of the time we don't have a plan, but a lot of times we try to have like a very fine outlines, loose sketch of what we want to talk about. Um, but we hope that you really enjoyed it. We hope if you're a new mom or pregnant, or if you're on your 10th baby and this is your first time hearing about it, that it's encouraging and that it's not daunting or like this big hurdle to get over to try and figure it all out. You will learn things along the way. Obviously, I did with the poop in the washing machine. But yeah, we really hope that it came across clear, concise, easy, and that it's not a big deal. It is a big deal because of the impact that you're making on your child, but it's also not a big deal in the sense of actually getting started with it. It can be super simple.
Yeah, I just want to note that tying the two together, I think cloth diaper is a great way to do elimination communication, because that is going to create more body awareness than disposables are in helping them know whenever they are dirty or whenever they are wet. You know, they will feel that sooner and they'll be able to communicate that to you faster.
Yes. Yeah. But if you want to follow Anna or myself, we have our Instagrams linked in the description. Anna is a birth keeper, so if you are pregnant and you want her at your birth, or you want her postpartum support, or a birth trauma debrief, she does it all. She's amazing. So you can find her in the description. You can find me as well. If you want to see our turkey wedding, follow the summer at my Instagram.
I want to see the turkey wedding, okay?
I'm gonna have to like sew her like a little veil or something. I don't know. I'll be creative.
Please do. Please do.
So
and speaking of top hat potties, he needs a top hat to match her veil.
Yes. You're like creating all these ideas in my head. Okay. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed the episode. I know it's a little bit all over the place, but I feel like we stayed on topic pretty well. So yeah, we will see you next Friday. We have no idea what we're talking about because we didn't know what we were going to talk about this morning. So,
we have no idea what we're talking about because we're moms of infants that are under the age of 1, and we can only think ahead for the next 5 minutes, and that's it. At least me. That's the level of planning I have.
Yeah, I was just being really indecisive, and I felt like unmotivated, and I was like, well, that's going to be dumb, or people are going to want to listen to that. Anyways. So yes, we will catch you, and my husband's walking in the door. We will catch you next Friday on the Motherhood and podcast, and thank you for joining and listening, and have a good rest of your day. Bye!